Aloha. I want to do a quick video in response to a comment that was left. Thank you for asking this question about quantum immortality. I'm not studied in quantum physics or anything like that, but I understand some perspectives from my basic observations of the quantum fields. Because I see it, how I see it is that basically quantum mechanics and quantum physics, that whole quantum reality, is largely the scientific version of attempting to understand the soul. So when I speak on things and I speak from the perspective of consciousness and the collective consciousness and the soul and spirit and the soul journey, soul family, you experiencing your reality from your highest perspective, maximum potential, all of those sort of key perspectives are basically speaking in reference to what the scientific version of that is. The quantum world is trying to quantify, basically trying to science up the spirit in order to understand itself. So it's basically moving. This is why a lot of string theory and quantum mechanics, it gets into speaking about the universe and speaking about multidimensional reality and speaking about consciousness as a whole outside of the physical realm. See, the old scientific version, the university system, is based upon nuts and bolts on like a kindergarten perspective of experiencing your reality, and largely it was manipulated into the consciousness by theories that are just blatant lies to maintain a vibration throughout the consciousness that will allow so-called controllers or slave masters or these mind magicians to create a space where consciousness is involved in creating a reality on a conscious space from a certain perspective on that frequency, but subconsciously, which is also part of our experience, we are being manipulated to create another version of reality. This is where the multidimensional experience exists. And how I observe quantum immortality, I'm just going to go on what I wrote down, the stuff I wrote down now. So if you want to see the scientific version of quantum immortality, go ahead and YouTube some videos or something like that. But basically, quantum immortality is the space of the soul where you never die, basically. So each reality that you exist in and as is existing because you choose life, because your consciousness has maintained an experience. The other worlds where you have chosen a reality and have died do exist and do maintain a space of consciousness, but they do not hold how I'm getting ready to explain it from what I've written down. The reality, the collective reality that we choose is life, based upon our direct connection to source, which is your soul energy. The body is already in a sense dead, so it's only alive because the soul keeps it alive. So you only experience the idea of death because your perspective is based upon your life from the physical perspective, the physical reality. But when you look at it from the perspective of the soul, you realize that you never die. Your soul is everlasting, and your body is just a vessel to have an experience for a particular time and space. And you either choose to experience that reality based upon how you are empowering yourself or choosing your reality, or you fall subject to the ideas of the magicians, the alchemists, who have manipulated a system to open up your vessel, your physical vessel, to allow the non-physical entities to maintain a space those non-physical vibrations who need this reality to exist because they have separated themselves so far from spirit. So you can understand the physical reality being difficult, or a separation from spirit, because spirit is everlasting and never dies. So the soul never dies. When you understand the body will die, it will die. So it has a beginning and it has an end. The soul doesn't have a beginning and an end when it's a manifestation of the spirit. It's all one energy. So this energy is born through the essence is born through the physical stargate, which is the feminine, the divine feminine energy, the divine feminine portal. And that is your, in a sense, your beginning. And when you pass on, when your experience is up, then your soul, this body will have an ending, but your soul will just move on to the next reality, whether that be in a perspective of whatever perspective that is based upon the agreement that you have with your higher self, as far as anchoring the experience here, the idea of here in this physical reality, and moving into another world. Now, I'll get into explaining that. I know it's kind of all over the place right now, but I'll get there, because I was just kind of going through what I remembered from what I wrote down, which I'm getting ready to read right now, as an overview or an introduction into how I piece together what I feel quantum immortality is in relation to the soul experience. So, quantum immortality, the first thing I wrote down was basically the living manifestation of your highest good. So the reason why you have a focus of consciousness is because you are choosing life consistently. Your soul will choose life. The only reason why it chooses death is because the idea of death in one frequency is because you have chosen life in another vibration, in a higher vibration, and you have met that frequency from this location, this consciousness location, or this experience, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I said in previous videos, you don't have a death, you have a life, and then you have another life, and then you have another life, and you're constantly expanding your consciousness. The idea, since this reality worships itself as the end-all be-all, as separate from the spirit, it has created this idea of death and installed the fear program for you to lower your vibration in order to maintain a control grid so you can be controlled. So the same goes for dreams, how you pop in and out of reality based upon the experience. So when you're in a nightmare and this dragon comes out of nowhere and then you wake up, you've shifted your reality based upon an emotion, based upon, sometimes you might experience a death in a dream and then you'll shift into a reality. There's no difference there. So and that is your innocent space. It's not like you've chosen to do that. You are in an experience, the you that is a you in your conscious reality. You are in and as an experience every moment of your idea of life within this physical reality, but in every moment outside of time that your consciousness experiences the life itself. I'm throwing kind of this stuff all over the place because language sucks and it's already difficult to explain, and yeah, so so the multi-world idea, where you have billions or however many, an infinite number of times where you have died, and other kinds of an infinite number of other experiences where you chose to go left instead of right, or right instead of to go left. All those other choices still exist. So basically, the consciousness chose a physical vessel to have an experience. And if there is no experience to experience, then it will transition to a reality that does. So that goes back into the dream space of, and just like the dream I explained in the video before last, where I flew up through the whatever the atmosphere would be, and then into the cloud environment, and then there was nothing going on up there. It's like, oh, this is nice, but I want to have an experience. So in order for me to get back into experience, I automatically knew that I had to go back through the clouds, back into my body, and back into this reality. So that's the same thing with the multi-world. I'll get into explaining how we choose that balance beam of the multi-world consciousness, which is the collective consciousness as a whole. So the next thing I wrote down is death is based upon your physical reality being first. So I already mentioned that before, the soul, when in fact it's your soul that is manifested from the spirit into your mind, into your body. So like, just as easily as you can understand that you can't create anything until you think of it first. Like, your mind has to create something before your body can carry it out. Your soul has to think in the etheric think process before you think it in your mind space, before you do it in your body space. And then the spirit as a whole before that, the same, so on and so forth. So the collective highest good that chooses life together in the darkest of the darkest experience is the solid state reality we experience. So the 0.005% or 1% of energy that is the visible light spectrum, this is the test for, like I said, you can sever your connection to the 0.00001% to spirit. It'll go on forever. You can separate yourself as far as you want, but you will never separate yourself from spirit, because that's an illusion. You are the expression of spirit. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, and call yourself an atheist, and call yourself a whatever, based upon what your artificial ego thinks it is. But that will just add another zero to the idea of yourself, which will separate you more and more from spirit. So when you come back to realizing that you are first the spirit, and then the body, the mind second, and then the body third, then you start to realize that this is all one storyline happening all at the same time outside of time and space, as spirit experiencing itself. So the next thing I wrote down is quantum mechanics is a scientific attempt to quantify or understand the soul. So it's self-explanatory. I mean, the university system is so far behind the ancient ancestors, the indigenous people, the Egyptians, the true alchemists, that quantum mechanics as we see it today is just its attempt to try to hold on to the consciousness as a whole by trying to make it you believe in the system, because they're just going to try to shift that quantum reality into transhumanism. Same thing is going on with CERN and the Mandela effect. They're trying to shift and co-opt what is naturally already existing and uplift the idea of separation, calling it connection. So this is what transhumanism is. This is how the destructive intelligence is playing chess against the creative intelligence, by trying to tell you the same way politics does. It says it's for you. We're passing these laws and we're doing this stuff for you. When you ultimately realize that they're taking away your freedoms through the illusion to begin with, and amplifying the control grid, which empowers the so-called powers that be, and takes away your power on every space, on every level. So this is how this program plays itself. The destructive intelligence against the creative intelligence on a collective scale. And then you, by the way, you buy in and choose with your free will experience, choose to buy into an experience of destructiveness or creation. Whatever it is, you are at the helm of your reality. And this is, I'll get into this into later on because I wrote it down. So the next thing I wrote down is the highest good of the collective consciousness balanced by the lowest separation. So what will the soul choose? What will the collective choose? So that's basically what I just said. So the lightest of the light, the highest of the high, that is your soul essence, your creative spark, your manifestation of the Most High Spirit, anchored in this experience of the physical reality, which is maximum separation, as far as being able to inhabit or express the highest of the high. So the physical reality, like basically a rock, a crystal, you're a complicated crystal in a sense, this physical reality body. Just like a quartz crystal holds information, and gold can transfer information through the computer programs. So these quartz crystals are memory banks. So your mind and your eyes, everything has a crystal in it. You are a crystal that is designed to experience consciousness in this realm of physical existence. And in that realm, in this physical reality realm, it's also the bridge between how I'm observing it, the bridge between the darkest of the dark. And this is why things are so extreme here. And this is why they sell the whole like God is bad or God is evil or whatever, God-fearing program, because they want you to demonize the soul and the spirit, when it's basically just about understanding this realm as a whole. And if you don't understand this realm as a whole as being extreme, then you will fall subject to the magicians who are manipulating your experience to create other worlds, other thought processes, which is basically other universes to experience through the individual into the collective. So that was the highest good of the collective conscious balanced by the lowest separation, which is the physical reality. So what will the soul choose? So each time your soul goes into this experience, the physical reality, you are falling subject to it, doing it over and over and over again. This is that recycling program, but it's not necessarily a recycling program in a space that is in control by the manipulators. It's a realm of experience, and you are choosing to anchor consciousness here, and you'll be surrounded by your guides and ancestors in every moment that you experience. This is why, because it's so extreme here. What was the next space? So just as easily as the soul chooses a reality, the collective soul also chooses a reality, and that is basically the balance beam. I'll get into that in a second because I wrote that. I expanded upon that in the next little page that I wrote down. So yeah, basically, what will the collective soul choose? Just as easily as you choose a thought, just as easily as you choose a thought or a decision or whatever it is, a way to live your life, a way to connect to spirit as a whole, a way to disconnect from spirit or think you disconnect from spirit. This is a reality that exists on the collective space as well. So another example of this consciousness shifting its reality and the worlds is the double slit experiment that focuses mostly on once you focus on the energy it'll change. Whatever you're looking at, it changes once you look at it, once you think about it, once you focus your energy on it. It's now different because you have adjusted its frequency by your consciousness, your focus. So another thing like this is the random number generators that move when there's like an emotional wave through the collective consciousness, like on 9/11 when all the random number generators fluctuated. That's another example of the quantum realm, which is actually just the soul, the spirit being, or the collective consciousness being affected by this like gut check, this vibratory gut check, to where just imagine in this moment there's peace on earth, boom, everything, no more wars, everything is done. Imagine what that kind of shockwave would do to the people, and that would shift into the random number generators. The same way the 9/11 experience shifted the random number generators, just on a different light. So the physical is the balance beam between the on and the off of the lowest common denominator of vibrationally speaking, being able to house the highest of the high expression of consciousness through spirit. So this is where you can choose to be on or choose to be off. And whatever you think you're choosing, you're still going to be within an experience, still connected to the Most High. But there are entities that consistently choose off in order to maintain their space as gods, which consistently locks them into this realm of existence, which goes into the entities, the disembodied entities who need our vessels and our collective consciousness to be on a low vibration in order for them to have more of an experience, for them to have slaves. In order to be a slave master, you have to have slaves. So energetically, how would that look? How would that feel? It's the same thing. In order to be an etheric king, you have to have etheric slaves. So conscious experience is the switch. So like the on and off of your reality, which is your baseline existence. You exist as that on and off frequency, that quantum chess game. You are, that soul is having that experience of on and off. Each thought that you make is a move. The game itself is experience. So you're not really choosing at any kind of bad space. You're just choosing. You can't get away from your choices anyway. Basically, everything is cataloged in the Akashic records. So like people think, oh, well, I'm just going to, if that's the case, well, I'll just do whatever I want. Well, better believe that everything is being cataloged and understood. And if you do some fucked up shit, that will exist on your your soul resume or your soul catalog forever. You will carry that on with you. So this is why people or a lot of people are talking about, like, individuals are choosing and the collective is choosing more of the reconnective space rather than the destructive space, because collectively we are understanding that the destructive ways are not beneficial for anybody, and simultaneously we have raised our awareness and our consciousness to a point to where we can actually do something about it individually and collectively. So yeah, consciousness is so if you exist as the on and off energy, consciousness itself is in relationship to the physical body is the actual switch. So each thought in each moment is the switch that you're choosing, on and off, on and off, on and off, just like a flicker rate of a television. This is why the television itself exists, to manipulate your on and off and your switch to choose certain perspectives at certain time frames, from certain vibrations, from certain emotions. Just like a dream, a fear program in a dream will shock you out of a dream. So the television, the movies, the music industry, the subliminal messages in music, this is like a lampshade in a sense, a dark lampshade, a dirty ass festering lampshade that is there to steal your focus and shade it, and you'll be playing with the switch thinking you're doing something, but you still got a lot of stuff that's buried on that's bombarding you. This is the distraction. That's what television and the news is. So the next thing I wrote down is, if everyone in this moment was their 5-year-old self. So just imagine for this moment, everyone, the 7 billion individuals on this planet, was now 5 years old. Everything paused for a moment. Everything was 5 years old. And that is the heart and mind of the collective consciousness. So that's the innocent space that exists in that on and off frequency. That is why this is like the heart of a child. So the heart of a child, once that mind gets manipulated to create a particular reality, that will be the balance beam of our physical reality. So your innocent essence, your heart, the true nature of your heart is the balance beam. And at that point, at that 5-year-old perspective, which is the heart of your child, once that starts to separate itself further from the creative intelligence, you are now creating a reality based upon the destructive intelligence. And collectively, so this is not an individual anymore. We're still in the 7 billion 5-year-olds right now. Collectively, however separated that 7 billion 5-year-olds has become, is how I'm explaining what the collective consciousness energetically is. So decisions based upon that space. So this is where an example would be like a 5-year-old who's just an asshole, just wants to destroy everything. Well, he wasn't born that way. He had to be taught that way, or manipulated to act that way, or be abused, or something had happened to that child in order for that child to be that way. Speaking in reference to just a clean slate, not like nothing else involved, no karma, no nothing like that. In a neutral environment, that child would choose, and you can understand the heart of a child, you know what that means, will choose to take care of another being, to take care of the animals, to take care of nature, to take care of itself, to learn, to imagine, to create and understand, and then move through the reality. And the balance of that, so it doesn't get all like boring and bland, is the test of the destructive intelligence. This is the test of the physical reality, the separation grid. So that reality being manipulated by movies, by cartoons, by the education system, by the music industry, by the politicians, by the design itself, is how the collective consciousness gets manipulated on every level to act and manifest a certain reality, a certain universe. And okay, so the next thing I wrote down was, the more complicated on higher vibrations and the transitional, I think that's what that is. The more complicated on higher vibrations and the transitional spaces between this universe and the next. Okay, so the foundation we create here at the base affects the higher and every space in between. So basically, the higher vibrations that are outside of this reality, you can understand your higher self and all the space in between, is anchored into this reality. So this reality affects the next reality, and that reality affects this reality, but it can only interact so much because we can only anchor so much, not to mention the laws of this universe and the physical reality as a whole maintain that we have all these variations of time and space, these clocks that are existing that can't be manipulated. This is why when you see a lot of channelers talking about stuff, they say stuff like, well, we can't reveal that to you at this time and place, or we can't reveal that to you because that vibration is not allowed to influence consciousness at this time. So, where am I at now? In this universe and the next. The foundation we create here at the base affects the higher and every space between. So, between here and the next and here and the last, because there's other realms too. This is where these disembodied energies go in and out of in order to maintain their God kingdom, their demigod space, by messing with your vibrations, lowering your vibrations, and playing with your conscious and subconscious realities in order to manifest a universe that is beneficial for them, just like the politicians and the so-called 1% do it here in the physical reality. It's the same thing. So the magicians play in that in-between space and use this reality to point the creative space of the in-between realms. So basically what I just said is just the alchemists, the energies who are hell-bent on separating themselves in order to worship themselves and have been caught up in that spiral of separation for so long, utilize your creative energy in order to build universes. This is what I was talking about with that whole, in the video before last, about the Star Trek and Star Wars, the algorithms, the intention with the globe model as a whole, how it creates your reality. It's creating realms of existence and of experience. So it just exists just as you can understand this innocent space, this physical reality of the collective consciousness choosing this reality. There are other realities that exist that are more complex than just this basic observation of, quantum immortality and the human experience. There are other versions of reality that various vibrations, energetic vibrations can work in and experience as a whole. So just as easily as you can understand these Philadelphia experience and the Montauk Project and all that stuff, playing with your dreams and playing with like you can understand the astral realm. I haven't gone into that space. I want to stay and focus on this for this moment right now, but these are those other realms that exist outside of just this pure existence, the pure existence of the human collective consciousness choosing a reality in the creative and destructive intelligence grid we understand as the earth plane. This is like the balance point. This is, like I said, this is the balance point. So if this is the balance point, then what is the extreme? What are the extremes of the higher vibrations, and what are the extremes of the lower vibrations? And what are the worlds that exist? What are the planes of existence that exist in the higher planes, and what are the planes of existence that exist in the lower planes? And what are the in-between realms? Can you create worlds in between those spaces? And this is where those disembodied energies play around in. So the next thing I wrote down is emotion. Energy in motion is just as you understand. So this is why our emotion is being messed with by the television, by the fear propaganda and the separation from spirit as a whole. You are more emotional when you are like a child is more emotional. Is because they have to depend on their parents. They don't know too much about life. They don't know too much about their experience. And everything that they perceive in their reality is based upon emotion, is perceived from an emotional perspective. So you can understand the 7 billion individuals right now, the majority of which are separated from the true essence of a spirit consciously, are basically like a bunch of kids. Like, this is why the television puts PG-13 on there and rated R is 17, because it's not telling you, they don't give a shit about you and your feelings. They're telling you look at it from an upside down and backwards perspective. They are telling you this is a program to manipulate your mind to exist from a teenage perspective, to exist from an idea of a 13-year-old or a 17-year-old or a 14-year-old or whatever it is. Just like the G-rated stuff is rated, that's not a rating system. It's a mind control system. They are telling you what to do. This G-rated movie is meant to mind control your children. Oh, good. Oh, since it's rated that way, it must be okay. Oh, this is in between. Categorizing your consciousness to manipulate an idea of conscious movement or the lack thereof. So fear is an emotion that determines whether or not you will experience a dream or not. Or a dream. So you can understand it in a nightmare when you experience, and I mentioned this earlier, when you're in a nightmare, you wake up. So you basically are not in that world anymore. You have left that world. Why? Because something scared the shit out of you, and you had to get up out of there. And so emotion, just as easily as emotion is that effective in your reality, in your dream space, in your subconscious, emotion, fear, love, compassion, empathy, all of these emotions affect your reality in your conscious space. So love and connection with spirit is an emotion that holds together the roots of this reality as the heart of the child. That's what this is like the precursor to the 5-year-old understanding of the innocent space. Just being innocently born into an experience. Like, what will that body, what will that soul do if it didn't have to deal with all this other bullshit that's around there? So just as easily as fear can shock you out of a reality, love and all of the other positive vibrations are the glue that hold realities together. So this is the balance beam. This is why it's a heart of a child that holds this space together. And it doesn't matter how vibrant the separation grid gets. You won't be able to mess with a child. That innocence is forever, everlasting, and more vibrant than any kind of. Just like you can take that whole saying of taking one light into a dark room, it'll light up the whole room. The darkness will run away. So that innocence down to the umpteenth degree will never be separated from spirit, and over time or over conscious experience, this human collective consciousness reality has chosen to come back consistently choose to come back to spirit over and over and over again. No matter how jacked up the reality is, we consistently choose to come back, and we will not choose to buy in to that destructive intelligence grid. So this is why the fear program must work to bring down the creative space through the love of life and connection. Fear is separation. So this is why the local news is so focused on death and destruction, and how ridiculous the human, the lower chakra triggering spaces, the negative sides of the lower chakra space is triggered in your reality, in order to convince you to create that vibration, not only individually, so you can make decisions and stupid ass decisions in your world, and people are so pissed off or whatever, so manipulated by the television, they go out and do some stupid shit, and that happens, that shockwaves through the collective. So everybody believing in Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and capitalism and this idea of democracy and transhumanism, all this shit is to weigh you down from a so-called positive perspective. It's the double back. It's to make you think that it's for your experience, but it's not. This is why in the last video I come down so hard on these controlled opposition, because it is crucial to understand what we're really working towards here, and who we really are, and what we really is. Like this whole idea of we, when people say we, and just like the Young Turk says, this is a revolution, and Alex Jones says, this is a revolution, and they're backed by Trump and Bernie Sanders. Like, what the hell? What kind of vibration is that? What are you really talking about? Who is your we? See, there's different we's there. When you expand that we into the collective consciousness, you will go into understanding the separation program and the creative intelligence connection program, which is that essence of coming back, instead of falling further away through the destructive intelligence grid and technology and all that shit. The stuff that is just festering our reality and destroying families, destroying nature, destroying everything. So this is basically how I understand the idea of quantum immortality. Is basically just the soul trying to quantify or understand what the soul experience is. So yes, yeah, quantum immortality is just another version, another way of talking about the soul, talking about the spirit. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's all I wrote down. I think I went over everything as much as I could. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.